Lu Wenjong shouted with vigor. Then let us see which of you will emerge victorious. The winner shall be exempted from the 10-kilometer penalty. Step forward. Yu Yong kicked 2 spears into the front of the formation and continued. Do not worry about bleeding or injuries. I have advanced medical pods at my disposal. As long as it is not a severed limb, I can restore you. You must remember to hone your true skills. The battlefield will show no mercy. Upon hearing these words, Shen Xiaoyun's lips involuntarily twitched. If it weren't for the silicone tip replacing the sharp point of the long spear, she might have believed Yu Yong's words. They had just practiced with proper firearms, and it was a mystery where Yu Yong had procured these 2 soft-tipped guns. She picked up the long spear and swung it a couple of times, the silicone tip bouncing playfully. Thus, this contraption would not draw blood, but it could certainly leave Lu Wenjong covered in red marks. On the other side, Lu Wenjong also grasped the long spear, swinging it a few times. It lacked power. However, it was sufficient to deal with Shen Xiaoyun. In an instant, the glances Lu Wenjong cast upon Shen Xiaoyun sparked with electric intensity. The students below, witnessing this, could not suppress their laughter. A bold classmate shouted, "Teacher, where did you get such a gun? It can't hurt anyone." Yu Yong shot him a glare. "Is it your turn to speak? Do you wish to join them in battle? Does he truly believe I wouldn't want to use real firearms? It's just that after being reprimanded by the principal twice last semester and attending 3 consecutive safety education classes, the guns I provide for the student sparring have become soft." Yu Yong's gaze shifted back to Shen Xiaoyun and Lu Wenjong, who had taken their positions. "All right, you may begin. I will call it off when necessary." Shen Xiaoyun held her long spear in her right hand, resting it behind her back. Upon hearing Yu Yong's command, she tightened her wrist and stepped to the side with her right leg. Observing Shen Xiaoyun's stance, Yu Yong felt a twinge of doubt. This was a complete defensive posture. He had been monitoring her practice, and several times he noticed her slacking off, lazily moving the spear, unlike the current display of vigor. At that moment, Lu Wenjong charged toward her, brandishing his spear while shouting, "Let me show you my prowess." He lunged the spear directly at Shen Xiaoyun's chest. A smile tugged at her lips. Indeed, he stepped forward with his left leg. That made it easy to counter. Her strategy was to strike decisively and swiftly. Shen Xiaoyun did not hastily evade. Instead, she raised her right arm with the long spear to her chest, twisting her wrist to deflect Lu Wenjong's spear. Seizing the opportunity, her body darted to the side, her right leg stepping forward, while her other foot aimed a direct kick at Lu Wenjong's knee. Her movements were swift. And after the kick, she continued to maneuver behind Lu Wenjong. Feeling a sharp pain in his knee, Lu Wenjong found himself uncontrollably kneeling. He roared, "You cheated." The teacher said to use the spear. The students below were left dumbfounded. How could the previously fierce Lu Wenjong suddenly be on one knee? Had he simply cramped up? "All right, I will use the spear." Shen Xiaoyun smirked, now positioned behind Lu Wenjong, and with her right hand, she swung the long spear horizontally, striking him squarely in the back. With a swift motion, the spear was raised once more, producing a sound as it cut through the air, landing again on Lu Wenjong's back. Lu Wenjong struggled to rise, but Shen Xiaoyun struck at the back of his other knee. Consequently, Lu Wenjong switched to kneeling on the other leg, cursing, "You ambushed me. If you have the guts, face me in a fair fight. Do you take me for a fool? I could just use a gun." Shen Xiaoyun mocked him, knowing full well that her physical strength was insufficient to confront him directly. As she spoke, she delivered several sharp slaps to Lu Wenjong's back. Yu Yong couldn't help but shake his head at the sight. Why didn't Lu Wenjong simply roll away from Shen Xiaoyun's strikes and retaliate? Why was he so insistent on standing up to evade her? It was Shen Xiaoyun who was foolish enough to allow him to stand. Lu Wenjong had never considered rolling to evade. His pride forbade him from such a humiliating act. Yet, like a cunning fox, Shen Xiaoyun continued to attack him from behind, denying him any opportunity for a frontal counterattack. Whether it was kicking his legs or striking his arms and back, her assaults were relentless and rapid, leaving him no time to recover. This entire exercise had devolved into a singular training session for him to endure punishment. Shen Xiaoyun, however, was unconcerned, relishing the opportunity to strike back at the brat who had reported her. "Please, stop hitting my legs," Lu Wenjong cried out, desperately seeking to confront her face to face. Even as she continued to strike him, with her weaker stamina, she would certainly struggle in a direct confrontation. He turned around, his face marked by a blow. Yet he was finally facing Shen Xiaoyun, ready to exact his revenge. But at that moment, Yu Yong could no longer bear to watch and stood up, exclaiming, "That's enough. You two stop." Lu Wenjong, caught off guard, stared blankly. Shen Xiaoyun retreated, complying with, "All right, teacher." Yu Yong turned to Lu Wenjong. "Are you really just going to let her beat you without putting up a fight?" "Teacher, she is despicable. She ambushed me. I said from the beginning we should use long guns." Lu Wenjong protested. Yu Yong retorted, "But I never said you couldn't use your legs. And why didn't you resist?" Lu Wenjong replied, "I did resist. I was almost able to overpower her." Just as he was about to gain the upper hand against Shen Xiaoyun, the teacher intervened. Chapter 29. Waiting in line to jump into the beast's mouth, the onlooking classmates couldn't help but whisper among themselves. Wasn't Lu Wenjong supposed to be physically strong? How was he being overpowered by Shen Xiaoyun this time? "My brother Lu is fit, but he can't withstand Shen Xiaoyun's ambush," one remarked. The teacher said it was a long gun duel, but she resorted to kicking. Another added, "Lu's misfortune lies in his naivety. That is not entirely fair. Shen Xiaoyun must possess some skill to hold her own against Lu Wenjong." Nonsense. With her pathetic stamina, if she had faced Lu directly from the start, she would have been begging for mercy. "You don't understand. Even in defeat, Lu Wenjong retains his honor. A mech soldier must have his spirit, preferring to be beaten than to yield." As the conversation continued, the voices grew louder, primarily fueled by those who had a closer relationship with Lu Wenjong. Unwilling to see him criticized, Yu Yong stood with arms crossed, initially fixated on Lu Wenzhong. However, as he overheard the students' discussions nearby, his expression grew increasingly tense. Shen Jiayun paid little heed to their remarks. She returned her long spear to its rightful place and brushed off the dust from her palms, reminding Yu Yong, "I won't be participating in the upcoming 10-kilometer run, right?" Yu Yong snapped back to reality, poised to nod in agreement. Meanwhile, Lu Wenzhong, filled with indignation, retorted, "Teacher, her physical abilities are only at a D level. She cannot possibly defeat me. I request a rematch." Yu Yong raised an eyebrow and replied gruffly, "And what is your physical level?" "Mine is an A level," Lu Wenzhong declared. "If she hadn't launched a sneak attack at the beginning, how could her D-level abilities have overpowered me? Furthermore, had you not called for a stop, I would have almost turned the tide." The more he spoke, the angrier he became. He could hear his classmates' discussions, all siding with him, reinforcing that Shen Jiayun was in the wrong. With that thought, he shot an exasperated glare at her. Shen Jiayun shrugged, acknowledging her physical disadvantage, yet she had not anticipated Lu Wenzhong's foolishness in kneeling to strike at her. It could only be said that, after 3 centuries, the younger generation had become increasingly naive and easy to manipulate. Lu Wenzhong, rendered speechless, sought to continue his argument. Yu Yong raised a hand to interrupt him, turning his gaze toward the observing students. "Do you all believe that Shen Jiayun's victory was unfair? That a lower physical level guarantees a loss?" Faced with the teacher's imposing stare, most students lowered their heads to evade the question. Yu Yong, with a powerful voice, pressed on, "Speak up. I am offering you the opportunity to express your opinions." One of Lu Wenzhong's supporters boldly asserted, "Rank is everything. Those with lower physical levels find it exceedingly difficult to triumph over those of higher rank. A lower physical level means limited stamina. Moreover, we are in the mecha combat specialty, where operation of the mech emphasizes rank. Lu Wenzhong could operate an A-level mech, while Shen Jiayun's D-level abilities would not even allow her to manage an A-level mech. Once the mech was in motion, her inadequate stamina would render her unable to withstand the A-level mech's pressure, leading to her collapse. If you hadn't called a halt, Shen Jiayun wouldn't have lasted long at all. This assertion resonated with the consensus among the students, prompting several to echo his sentiments. Yu Yong, upon hearing this, could only laugh in disbelief. "Is that all you can think of, physical abilities? According to your reasoning, our academy's students should simply surrender when facing those from the Imperial Academy in joint competitions. Indeed, our academy has consistently ranked last for 3 years." They chimed in. "It's simply because the students from our academy are not as strong as those from other schools. Given the current trend, it seemed they would continue to be outmatched." The students were not discouraged, simply stating the facts. Who was unaware that the Imperial Academy was the strongest institution in the Alliance, boasting formidable faculty and receiving annual educational resources from the Alliance? When applying to schools, the Imperial Academy was his first choice, but alas, he lacked the requisite abilities and ultimately ended up at the Alliance Academy. Though the other students remained silent, their expressions indicated agreement with this student's assertions. Shen Jiayun could not help but shake her head. Is this truly the prestigious first academy established by Lin Jingguang? Images of Lin Jingguang, with clenched fists, passionately sketching grand blueprints in her mind flashed before her. That fellow, in his attempt to deceive her regarding her mecha, had eyes gleaming with fervor as he proclaimed, "I shall become the principal, and I will tell my students that a nation's strength lies in the strength of its youth. Unwavering perseverance will reveal their brilliance. The youthful spirit, soaring aspirations, reaching for the skies." Yet, at this moment, she saw no lofty aspirations in sight. Yu Yong could not contain his outrage. "Nonsense. Who taught you such absurdities? You possess no valor whatsoever. By your logic, should the weak not have the right to exist? If humanity shared your mindset 3 centuries ago during the beast invasion, we should have all surrendered and lined up to be devoured by the beasts, leading to our own extinction. So spare me your talk of rank. Victory is the true measure of rank. A novice is simply a novice, so do not seek excuses." After berating the student, he turned his ire towards Lu Wenzhong. "And you, do not presume to be above this. According to your steadfast belief in the hierarchy, your physical prowess level surpasses Shen Jiayun's. You should reflect on your failure against someone of lesser ability rather than whining about unfairness." Lu Wenzhong's face turned pale with indignation as he protested. "That was because you, teacher, called for a halt. Utter nonsense. If I hadn't called for a stop, you would not have lost. Were it not for the competition, you would have perished 1,000 times over. When she was attacking you, could you not have stood up and fled? Rolling on the ground to evade would have sufficed. Look at your behavior. You cling to your non-existent pride. With barely any experience, you have learned many faults." Yu Yong did not care whether he would be summoned by the principal later to account for his words. He unleashed his frustration without restraint. He wondered where today's students had acquired such faults, elevated ideals coupled with an inflated sense of self-worth. Shen Jiayun nodded in agreement, recognizing the validity of Yu Yong's words. If her classmates were transported back 3 centuries, they would scarcely survive 2 years. In the past, as long as one survived, who cared about appearances? To evade the beasts, everyone had resorted to using their excrement for disguise. Rolling in the dirt was nothing in comparison. Chapter 30. The Iron Will Tenet. Lu Wenzhong's face flushed with humiliation as he defended himself. This is the Iron Will Tenet of mecha soldiers: justice, transparency, and unyielding spirit. The Iron Will Tenet, which he referenced, was a belief system originating over a century ago from the Central Star, representing the faith of certain mecha soldiers. Initially, it was the Central Star's nobility who emphasized superiority and personal spirit during mecha competitions. Eventually, as the number of mecha competitions in the Alliance proliferated, this tenet gained popularity, particularly among the youth. Yu Yong, exasperated, pointed towards the distant track. Run 10 kilometers for me. You learn all the bad habits while ignoring the good. Do you dare emulate the